Hello and welcome to another Uniko video with me, Bev, the owner and designer of all things Uniko. So this month at Uniko, our focus is on masculine cards. Mainly the reason I chose masculine cards this month is because Father's Day is coming up, but it's also something a lot of people seem to struggle with when it comes to making cards is thinking of ideas for men. And another reason I'm doing a video today is one of the comments I had on a card recently where I used the A2 thin frames dies from Kristina Werner was that they have the dies but they rarely use them because they struggle getting the thin frame adhered nicely, and I totally agree. It is a bit tricky. The first couple of times I did it, I struggled to get it nice and lined up, and then I came up with a little idea and a little tip that I thought I would share on how to combat sort of the misalignment of the frame. So I thought I'd make a card and I'll show how I add a frame. So today I've chosen Balloon Bash and Birthday Sentiments. Obviously balloons are perfect for masculine cards, whether they are for a boy, you know, a young boy or a teenager, or even a grown-up man up to your granddad. I think in my life I've only ever come across one person who didn't like balloons, but it's a classic birthday image. So I went ahead and I've cut some white card, my usual size of 10.5 by 14 centimeters, and I am going to use my stamping platform today because these balloons are solid stamps and sometimes they're a little bit tricky getting full coverage. So I thought I will use my stamping platform today. I've dusted off my little one here, and I'm going to use the smaller circle one today, and most likely I will probably draw in my lines as well, because you do get the balloon string like so. We'll see when it comes to it. I haven't fully decided, but we'll stamp the balloons first, and I've chosen a selection of colours today. Aqua Sky, Oceanside, Grasshopper, Marmalade and Wildberry. These are colours that I'd seen somewhere across Pinterest, I believe, and I wrote them down as a colour combo. I thought it was quite unusual, so I thought I'd give it a go. We'll see how it turns out. So I'm going to start off with Aqua Sky. As normal, I put a little bit of temporary adhesive on the back of my white card, and I've got this magnet that's fairly strong. And we'll just go ahead and ink these. Might do a bit of masking, we'll see. I might even just sort of overlap the colours, see how they turn out, because balloons have that sort of see-through appearance to them. I know some of the ones sort of these days do have more of a solid look to them, and there's all different types of balloons, isn't there, these days. Ones I remember from my childhood were quite see-through though, but we'll see. I haven't fully, see, I had this idea, but I haven't fully decided how or what. So I'm just going to move, turn this round because I want to overlap. I should have done it this way in the first place. I've just got a damp cloth here. It's just one of them microfiber cloths, just to wipe off my stamps. And I'm just going to overlap slightly here. I'm concentrating sort of more on this lower right hand side of my card. So we've done Aqua Sky. And I'm going to do something a little bit different with the frame. Normally I put it straight on the card at right angles, try and get it centered, but I'm going to do a little bit different today. This is Grasshopper. It's a colour that I haven't used that much, to be honest, but it is a nice green. I'm just going to stamp that one once. It's quite a dark colour. Just clean my stamp off a little bit, and then I'm going to go over this side. I'm going to go fairly low here. Trying to think what colours. Like so. My stamp's quite sticky today, so it's pulling my card up. I'm going to do Oceanside. I love this colour. I love all the turquoises, but as I've said before, I can't choose a favourite colour. It depends what mood I'm in. Sometimes I love raspberry pinks, sometimes I love turquoise, sometimes I love blue. So I can never choose a favourite, but I do love, it is one of my top colours, go to. So I've decided I am going to do a little bit of, no I'm not, I'm going to do, trying to think which colour will look nicely over the top if it was layered. So with this one I've done the Aqua Sky and the Grasshopper, and then it's created this sort of muted, you can see the colours have overlapped quite nicely, not sort of a horrible muddy colour, and that's what we don't want. Sort of a muddy colour. So I'm gonna just try and place, I want them sort of fairly clustered, but so I'm gonna do the pink over this, the Wildberry I've chosen, and then I'm gonna do the Marmalade orange down in the bottom corner. And I'm hoping that the Wildberry and the Oceanside will overlap nicely. I should have tested before I came on to record the video, but usually, like me, I just think, right, I'm going to do a video now, and I do it, and I try not to think too much. I just try and get on and do, because if I procrastinate too much, then I never get round to actually doing the video. So yeah, that's made nice sort of purpley colour, so I'm pleased with that. Now I'm gonna just move my cardstock up the top, and I'm going to stamp the balloon just sort of in this lower lower section here. I'm going to do 5 balloons, so 1 for each of the colours. I think I missed a bit cleaning my stamp there. It shouldn't matter too much. Fighting with the magnets today. So then I've chosen Marmalade. For this bottom one. Like so. Then in the balloons we've got, as well as the strings and things, you've got some accents. The one I'm going to use on the balloon is this sort of little light refraction stamp, and I'm going to stamp it in, if I can find where I've put it, because again I didn't get it out beforehand. I'm going to stamp it in white. So I use this unicorn white from Hero Arts. It is a pigment ink, so it does dry a little bit slower. I am gonna actually take my card out from the stamping platform. I just find these tinier stamps easier to stamp outside of the platform, and I just have like this little mini block. It's personal preference, isn't it? Some people really use their platforms for everything. I just tend to use mine for more solid images, and normally I tap my ink to the stamp, but I don't want to drown this stamp because it is quite tiny. And I'm just stamping on this upper sort of edge, top right of the balloon, and I'm going to do it the same on each of them. It's not hugely noticeable on some of the colours, but it just adds a little sort of detail. I should have maybe stamped it before. I might just leave that one underneath because you can't really see it as it's behind. And then we're going to stamp the strings. So again, there's some choices in here. You've got the swirly string, the sort of straight string, but obviously you can make it wavy. This just has a little sort of loop in it, and then you've got the bow. I'm going to go for more of a straight one. And again, I'm going to just use my block for this. I'm not worrying too much whether the string's completely straight, but what we might have to do is create a little mask for this lower orange balloon, just so the string sort of goes behind. So this is Eclipse paper. It's got a slight stickiness to it. It's sort of like, the best way I can describe it, it's like a post-it note type of stickness. So it peels off. It's really low tack, but it's great for masking. So I just apply it to here, and I don't have to stamp this perfect, so it's just a guide. We'll do it in the orange though. So you don't have to be perfect with your stamping for this part. And then just a case of cutting it out. And as this it is like the thickness of a post-it note, so it is fairly easy and pliable to cut. I got this from Stamp Addicts. The roll was quite expensive. It was about £20. It's quite pricey, but I have to say it lasts a long time. That you can do a lot of masking with this, and as long as you're not sort of like putting it over something, say you were masking something you'd heat emboss that had got glitter on or something, you can use the same mask a few times before it sort of starts to lose its stickiness. So sometimes I often keep them stuck like on the reverse of my packaging and things, especially images that have taken a while to cut out. I try and keep them so I can use them again to save me cutting them out again. Obviously you can use your die. If you had a die, you can cut out the masking paper with those, but obviously some images have a couple of millimeters of white around the image, so if you used your die to cut, there would be like a border. So I've just stuck it over the orange one, and then I'm going to go ahead and just stamp my balloon strings. I'm not going to add bows today. I'm going to keep it really simple. And I'm just sort of lining up here with the bottom of the balloon. Couple more to go. And there we have it. So that was quite easy. Now I'm going to set this bit aside and I'm going to die cut the frame. So I decided that I will do it in black today. I do like the frames die cut in black. They do have this sort of impact, but I haven't experimented too much in other colours. I've done one in white. So these are the A2 thin frames. I got these from Seven Hills Crafts, and you do get 2 sentiments as well, which is the hugs and the high, and then you get this larger frame. I haven't actually used the larger frame, mainly because I don't do a lot of cards much bigger than what I'm doing today. And what I'm going to try and do is get bang for my buck as well with this die cutting. So I've cut another piece of card, which is 10.5 by 14 again, and I'm going to try and place this so it's central, so I can use the frame, the sort of the thin frame, and then you've got a piece that cuts out in the middle, and then I'm going to try and recycle sort of this outer frame as well that will be left. Often I've done it sort of haphazardly, maybe on scraps of card, but I didn't have any scraps of black, so I thought, well, I'm going to try and maximise my cardstock consumption here a little bit and hopefully reuse the frame. So I'm just trying to sort of eyeball it, that I've got it equal, and I'm just using a tiny little bit of washi tape just to hold it in place. I do try when I'm crafting to think, or how can I use like the offcuts and stuff, because every bit of supply is valuable at the end of the day. So as you can see, the frame obviously has got sort of stuck a little bit inside here, but I have this little sort of pokey tool that sort of just goes in these little holes just to poke it out. Like so. So I'll move my die cutting machine out of the way. You can see it's well used. My trusty one from my original one that I bought when they first came out has served me well. So as you can see, you've got the thin frame, the bit that's come out of the middle, and then I've done this so hopefully I can recycle this for another project at some point. It'll go into the pile of things to be used. So I won't bend it too much, but this frame, even though this black cardstock is quite thick, this is, I believe, Concord 9th black, so it is quite thick. But once you've got your glue on the back, it can be quite, so it can move around a little bit, and you can, the edges of it are a little bit tricky to keep straight. So my little trick, so we'll bring in this, we'll remove that mask. I nearly forgot that it was there because I'd done it the same colour. Peel that off, stick it to one side. So my idea today was to do this frame sort of on an angle so it overlaps the balloons a little bit, just to sort of give it a little sort of different feel. Normally I just go for something like this, very sort of like structured and straight edges, and but I thought, well, I'll do something a little bit different, so only 3 edges hang off. But my little trick is to use some temporary adhesive. So this is Stick It, and it's a temporary adhesive. I use it on the backs of my cards to hold things in place while I'm like ink blending, stamping and whatnot. But my trick is, so I'll just move the frame out of the way, is to put this where you want it, your frame to be. And you just temporarily adhering it lightly. And then I'm using the Tombow multi-glue, the liquid glue. And I'm just going to apply a little bit on the edges of this frame. You don't need a lot of the glue. I just try to do little dots along because I don't want it sort of seeping out the edges, even though it does dry clear and it is a good glue. Of if you do get excess of the edges, you can usually rub it off quite easily. But I do try to keep my dabs quite light. Hopefully I'm in view here. It's probably the most time consuming bit, is putting these on. I don't use wet glue a lot, mainly just for thin die cut adhering. I tend to lean towards double-sided tape a lot. So then all you're going to do is just place the frame. Obviously I'm going to get a few edges stuck to the bottom here where my frame overlaps. But what you can do while the glue's still wet is it's pliable, and I'm just pushing it up to the edges of my frame, the rectangle, sorry, in the middle, the insert. And then all I'm going to do, well, I can lift it up today, but if it was in the middle of my card, I'd use my pokey tool, and you're just going to lift this out. Obviously you can see a bit of the temporary adhesive is stuck there, and all you're going to do is just rub it off with your finger or an eraser, and then all I'm going to do is just trim off these edges. But just by using sort of the inside part of the frame, just helps you keep all the edges straight and aligned. And then you have this perfect frame. I'll just put that to one side. I'm getting glue on my hands now. So there we have our frame. And I quite like that. I do like angles, and I do like things when they're offset a little bit. It does add a little bit of difference and interest. So I thought today we would have use this sentiment set. There's lots of options in here. Obviously you've got the large birthday party, cake, wish and celebrate, and then obviously you've got all these sort of like little ones that create all sorts of different mix and match sentiments. But I think today we'll use I think I'm going to use party. Yeah, I'm going to use party. It was the one I was originally going to use, but looking at all the sentiment, there's just so many options. And we'll use time, party time. But you could be surprise party, different ones. So we'll use party, and I am going to use my stamping platform again, just for this larger sentiment, because again it is quite solid and I might have to repeat stamp it, and I don't want to mess up all the hard work we've just done. When it comes to stamping a sentiment straight over the top, you don't want any mistakes, and I've done it numerous times and then wished I'd done it differently. So another thing with doing different angles, if you don't get your sentiment completely straight, it's not as noticeable, I've found as well. Another little handy tip for you. But obviously we have got your lines on your stamping platform if you wanted to make sure it was perfectly straight. I'm using VersaFine Clair Nocturine ink. It's my go-to for the majority of my black stamping these days. Sentiments, any sort of detail, and we're just gonna stamp it over the top, and that's come out really well first time, but it might not have been that way if I'd done it with a block. So I'm just cleaning it off just so I don't get ink on my hands, because I'm prone to doing that. And again, for this one I am going to use my little block, and I'm just going to go down here. I just find stamping with these little blocks a lot easier for these tinier stamps, like so. And I'm going to leave the card as it is. I'm not going to add any bling or glitter or any other embellishment, because I think that is enough when it comes to the design. So that is my little sort of trick for applying, adhering these thin frames to your cards. I hope you have found this video useful. Thank you for watching, thank you for liking and subscribing, and for all your comments recently. I know I'm a little bit behind on responding to them, but I will catch up. Now I'm going to get back to packing the car and getting ready to travel down to Kent tomorrow for Craftorama Kent on Saturday. If you go into the show, please do pop by and say hello. It's my first time going this far south with Uniko, so I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, I'll be back again next week with more videos and hopefully some more shorts as well. I hope you're enjoying the speeded up little videos. They are a lot quicker to watch. Anyway, thank you for joining me today, and see you again soon. Bye for now.